10 Little Indians meets Jaws in this... Well, wait a second, that can't be right. Those are two good movies. Hello there, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in to RealScreenReviews.com. I'm film critic Nick Yakabuchi, and our next movie review is Shark Night 3D. This bloody teenage would-be thriller opened in wide release on Friday, September 2nd, 2011, and it features Sara Paxton, Dustin Milligan, Chris Carmack, and American Idol alum Katherine McPhee. Shark Night comes to us from director David R. Ellis, the director of Final Destination 2, Snakes on a Plane, and Cellular. This time out, he once again falls into the same usual bloodthirsty trap, but this time around we can add hammerheads, makos, tigers, and any other man-eating sharks that we can throw in there. Our story simply tells of 7 friends that are going on a retreat to a summer home and island that belongs to one of the girls in tow. Of course, you can throw on some townies, local law enforcement, some pets, and if you add it all together, you have a good amount of pathetic suckers ready to become dinner. Shortly after the tale gets going, it just becomes one gruesome demise after another, and though barely longer than an hour and a half, at around the 30-minute mark I was actually hoping for the 3D sharks to pop from the screen and chomp me to death and spare me the last 60 minutes. Well, people, the only redeeming quality to Shark Night was the extremely entertaining teenage audience that I got to see it with. They were actually better than the film itself, and it's not a question of whether or not this is a good movie or whether this is a bad movie, it's just a question of how bad it actually is. I honestly never thought that I would mutter these words, but Final Destination 5 was actually better than this. At least that film looked credible. Shark Night couldn't even attain that. Now, I don't think that I'm nitpicking when a movie named Shark Night can't make credible looking sharks. The guts of the movie, no pun intended, doesn't work at all. The villains look so fake you can't even take them serious, they're so fake looking. I like David R. Ellis as a filmmaker, and I enjoyed the first couple Final Destination films, and I really enjoyed Cellular, but it's like him and everyone else involved in this project really just didn't care about it. This schlock is filled with some of the worst dialogue that I've heard this year, and it took 2 people to write this movie. Oh, that's right, because it's so witty and so complex, it couldn't have possibly come from the mind of just one person. You know, I'll tell you, Katherine McPhee should be very thankful that she has singing to fall back on, because I don't know what the rest of the cast is going to do after this feature. Actually, Sara Paxton is a very credible actress, but the rest of the acting is so bad that it actually becomes funny. Especially Blake, portrayed by Chris Zilka, whose performance is so transparent that I've seen more convincing drama in a XXX feature. Even known actors like Donnell Logue and Josh Leonard show up only to deliver the worst performances ever. It's very difficult to make drama happen on the screen when the talent being used doesn't have the experience to pull it off. This movie doesn't work on any level for which it's set out, and it doesn't work as a creature feature either. A creature feature is fun, enthralling, and grabs a hold of the audience while it draws them in, and Shark Night 3D is absolutely none of those things. The plot points are so far-fetched and ridiculous that they border on lunacy, and some of it was just plain senseless. At one point, one of the characters gets his arm chomped off, and when they get him to shore, another character frantically states that they have to get to the first aid kit. I mean, do they have a spare arm in that first aid kit? And when they finally do bring it back, it's just your average first aid kit with band-aids and gauze. I mean, are you kidding me? Once again, there were 2 credited writers on this project. I hope if you add their ages together, it comes out to be like 13 or 12. Oh, and before I forget, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Ariel at American Girl 5110. She has a very cool channel. If you're really into arts and crafts and dolls, do yourself a favor, please check out her channel. It's my friend Ariel at American Girl 5110. That's my shout out for this video. At 95 minutes, Shark Night was too long on wind and too short on bite. Even putting this up against the likes of the comparable Deep Blue Sea and Lake Placid, this movie still sucks. Do yourself a favor and avoid this movie for the rest of your life. Only 1/2 of 1 star out of 4, and remember people, I'm not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you very much for your attention.